In this week's edition of CivilNet's Business Digest, we take a look at new data on money transfers, inflation, and tourism in Armenia. We're also joined by Martirosyan from the Export Armenia Association to talk about how Armenia can reach its full trade potential. Money transfers to Armenian banks from people living outside of Armenia have doubled in the past year, soaring to $4.1 billion in the first 10 months of the year, already an all-time record for Armenia. In all 12 months of last year, the total amount transferred to Armenia was just $2.1 billion. That's all according to data from Armenia's central bank. This year, 2/3 of the transfers, or about $2.8 billion, came from Russia alone. The next highest contributor was the United States, at just over $500 million. After subtracting out money transferred by Armenian bank customers to other banks outside of the country, the total net inflow of money to Armenia this year stands at $2.1 billion. Remittances from Armenians living outside the country, especially in Russia, have historically played a significant role in Armenia's economy. But the surge in transfers this year is different. It's also due to Russians moving their savings abroad en masse in response to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February. As a result, Armenian banks have seen profits triple year on year, recording almost $500 million in profits so far this year. From last November to this November, prices in Armenia increased on average by nearly 9%, marking the highest 12-month percentage change in over a decade. That's according to new inflation data from Armenia's National Statistical Agency. Prices for food and non-alcoholic beverages in particular have soared year on year, with inflation for those goods reaching over 11% last month. Bread, meat, cereals, and dairy products are now among the most expensive consumer products in Armenia. Price increases in Armenia have been driven in part by this year's surge in inflation rates worldwide, as well as by shortages and supply chain issues that have been exacerbated by the war in Ukraine. Despite the pain that sky-high food prices have wrought on Armenian consumers, the country's year-on-year inflation rate is still the lowest out of all the countries in the Eurasian Economic Union, a Russian-led trade bloc. As of October, the average 12-month inflation rate in the bloc was about 13.5%. More than 1.5 million tourists visited Armenia in the first 11 months of the year, according to new numbers from the country's state-run tourism committee. While this year's figure will most certainly fall below Armenia's all-time record set in 2019, when 1.9 million tourists visited, it still dwarfs the total number of arrivals in the past 2 years. Fewer than 1 million people visited Armenia in 2020 and 2021 amid fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic and the Karabakh War. Russians accounted for nearly half of all visits this year. Georgia, Iran, the United States, and Germany rounded out the rest of the top 5. The majority arrived via Zvartnots International Airport outside of Yerevan. It's important to note that many of the tens of thousands of Russians relocating to Armenia are officially classified as tourists by the Armenian government. Nonetheless, it's still clear on the ground here in Armenia that tourism is booming this year. Over the summer, the new head of the tourism committee, Sisyan Bogosyan, sat down with us to explain how she and her team are working to turn Armenia into the next big travel destination. You can find the full interview now on our website and YouTube channel. Martirosyan, founding member of the Export Armenia Association and partner and shareholder at Avenue Consulting Group, sat down with us this week to talk about the need to build a sustainable, export-oriented economy in Armenia, the importance of developing strong economic diplomacy, and the link between growth, security, and climate. You can check out the full conversation now on our website and YouTube channel. And finally, please consider supporting our independent journalism by going to our website and clicking the donate button at the top of your screen. Every dollar helps our reporters continue their crucial work across Armenia and Karabakh.